Let's take a quick look at how to sort quadrilaterals. So first thing we should probably do before we get started is actually talk about what is a quadrilateral. Well, quad, if you've ever been out quadding, and many in our part of the world have, quadding means 4 tires, so therefore a quadrilateral is just a polygon, a shape, with 4 straight sides. So that's the definition of quadrilateral, and there's lots of quadrilaterals that we're used to. Some of the ones that might come to your head right away is a rectangle and a square, but we want to further our understanding a little bit here by adding a few more. So first thing is trapezoid. It's a quadrilateral, has 4 sides, and it has only one pair of parallel sides. So just a reminder, these arrows here tell us that those 2 sides are parallel. Parallel means that those 2 sides stay the same distance apart and will never cross. So you can see they just keep going, and they would never get closer and closer if they even went forever. They are always the same distance apart. So a trapezoid, one pair of parallel sides. Now a parallelogram, just like the name expresses, has something to do with parallel sides, and you can see here it's a quadrilateral, 4-sided shape, where opposite sides are parallel and equal. So that means this side here, see the 2 arrows, is parallel to this side over here, because the 2 arrows tell us it's parallel. Now these 2 dashes here and these 2 dashes here tell us they're also the same size. So they're not just parallel, they're also equal in length. Now if I look here, the single arrow here tells me that those 2 sides are parallel, and the single dashes here tell me that those 2 opposite sides are also the same length. So parallelograms are quadrilaterals, 4-sided shapes where the opposite sides are parallel and the same length. Next one, and this might also be another new one for you, is a rhombus. So a rhombus is a parallelogram, except the difference is in the parallelogram the opposite sides were equal length, while in this one all 4 sides are equal length. Opposite sides are still parallel. You can still see this side is parallel with this side, and this side is parallel with this side, but they all have that single tick, which means they all have the same length sides. Now just a couple things here. Rectangles, you're probably familiar with them. Rectangles, they're basically a parallelogram. All sides are parallel and they're equal lengths. So for example, this side is parallel to this side, so I could put a single dash here. This side is parallel to this side, so I'll put double ticks here to show those 2 are the same. There's just one extra thing. The corners are perfect square. They're 90-degree angles. That's the only thing that's different between a rectangle and the parallelogram. The square, you might say, hey, it looks an awful lot like a rhombus, except with one difference. All the sides are equal in length. So this side is equal in length with this one. It's also parallel to this one. This side is parallel to this side, and it's also the same length as those other 2. The difference is the corners are now 90-degree angles. So you can see a square is different than a rhombus in that the angles are now 90 degrees. They make a perfect square on those corners. Alright, so now let's begin to start sorting. That's the goal here. So let's say, for example, I had all these shapes. I want you to just think for a minute, how could you collect them? How could you kind of organize them by certain properties? And there's lots of different ways to do this. So I want you to think, what shapes here do you think are kind of similar to other shapes? I want you to pause it right now and just try thinking, how do these shapes compare with each other? Now that you've had a chance to think about this, I want you to look at one way you could have done this. One way you could have done this was you could have put all the ones that have perpendicular sides in the red circle. So remember, perpendicular means that our sides cross at a 90-degree angle. So that's perpendicular. They make a corner. So they make a perfect corner. Parallel sides mean the sides never cross. So you can see here, this one here you've got that little square mark. They make perpendicular angles. Okay, this one here also has a perpendicular angle. This one here also has a perpendicular angle. Perpendicular, they have square corners. That's what perpendicular means. Okay, this side here in the blue circle, we've got parallel. So here's a parallel set of lines. Parallel, 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 parallel here, parallel here, parallel here. So all the shapes in the blue have parallel lines. Now the neat thing is, in this Venn diagram, the area that the red and blue both enclose means they actually have parallel lines and perpendicular signs. So they got these right corners and the perpendicular signs, so they're kind of special. The ones not in the circles have no parallel sides and they have no perpendicular sides. That's one way that you could have organized all those shapes, not the only way. Now look at this one. Can you see how they actually organize these ones? So this is a different way to take those same shapes and organize them. So in the yellow circle here, what do these all have in similar? The orange circle here, what things do these share in common? The red circle, what things do they all share in common? So think about that for a second if you want. Take a quick pause. This one here, it looks to me like they have one set of parallel sides. In this one here, it looks to me like they have two sets of parallel sides. This one here, it appears that there are no parallel sides. They have sides of same length. Remember the double ticks here mean that's the same as that, but there's no arrows showing parallel sides. So that's another way you could have taken all of those and sorted them. So we're learning some new shapes, but we're also learning how to kind of take these shapes and organize them by different properties.